Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Inside of today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the best 10 brawlers in Brawl Stars right now. So balance changes just dropped yesterday, so of course this is more of like a prediction of how I see the meta unfolding. I'll be doing a tier list probably around Monday or Tuesday, so make sure to subscribe if you're not already to keep up with the meta. So without further ado, let's just jump into it then. So at number 10, I went with Buster. So he received no nerfs, buffs or anything with the balance changes, but because there was so many nerfs with balance changes, I feel like brawlers like Buster would just get a bit better, and he's just been receiving, you know, in previous balance changes like 2%, 3% nerfs, which aren't really going to do anything for him. In terms of competitive play, he's such a strong brawler, got a really good gadget, he can combine really easily, and he actually really isn't a lot of key counters out there now in the meta, especially since Gale and Chester have been nerfed. He's just going to get stronger and better. Now jumping into the 9th best brawler in the game, I went with Gale. Before we talk about Gale though, let's quickly run down some honorable mentions. So first, Barley's really good because of the ranked rotation right now. The map pool really helps him. He does have his counters, but his hype charger is really good. You've got Max and Angelo as well, so Max is going to be better with, of course, better players because then he can synergize pretty well, but Max he can never really go wrong with, an easily an A-tier brawler. Angelo just really good on bounty and knockout, and does have a few good maps like Canal Grande, etc., where he just really excels. You've got Squeak and Penny. I think keep an eye on both of these buffs because they might be surprisingly better than most people realize. I can definitely notice the Squeak difference. The damage buff is really nice, but unfortunately I think there's just a couple of brawlers at the top of the meta. They're gonna make him not meta, if you get what I mean. And then lastly, Clancy. So a lot of people were saying where's the Clancy nerf, but I don't think Clancy's that much of a problem. I never really struggle facing off against him. I know your teammates probably will feed his levels. Level 3 Clancy is very good, but there are some really good counters to him in ranked, and you can counter him pretty easily. So we're going to be going into Gale. So Gale, you might be wondering, well, Gale received 2 nerfs and they're probably going to have a big impact on him, but I still feel like, especially because of the meta around him, he's going to be a top 10 or at least in and around the A tier, mainly because his hyper charge is still really boosted fundamentally. They didn't change anything with the hyper charge, so still you can get team wipes. It's just going to take you a little bit longer. Already Gale's hyper charge, it took pretty long to get, so I don't think this is really going to affect him. The super damage nerf will affect him a little bit, but again, it's mainly because he's just able to shut down tanks so easily with his pushback, with the fact that you can cycle supers still so easily. I think he's gonna be guaranteed an A-tier brawler at least. So next up is the 8th best brawler in the game right now. I went with Mortis. So again, I've got Mortis in the top 10. Last time you guys flamed me for whatever reason, and he's still in the top 10. He received a small nerf to his hypercharge rate, so it means it takes like 2 or 3 hits extra to get his hypercharge. I don't think it's really gonna affect him too much, especially when you consider some of his best counters are being nerfed. You know, like Chester, Gale, he's gonna have more counter play against them, and you've got to realize the hypercharge itself is still just broken. If you connect multiple people with it, with the mythic gear, you're going to get team wipes. You're going to be able to change the game. And of course, Mortis does have its counters, so I don't see Mortis being like a top 5 brawler, but he's definitely in and around. So next up is the 7th best brawler in the game right now. I went with Piper, so I may have overestimated her a little bit, but I'm just finding right now I'm ranked. I'm playing her a lot more than I used to. I don't know why, because the meta hasn't shifted too much to make her better. There are still some glaring counters to her, but at the same time, she's probably the best sniper in the game. Her hype charge is still really good, and she has 2 really cheesy gadgets, and I'm seeing a lot of people complaining about where's the Piper nerf, etc., and I'm hoping that there's some at least gadget nerfs or a hypercharge nerf in the future. And she does deal a lot of damage when you consider it, especially against bad players. You can easily just chain those shots and just carry so easily. So for me, I think Piper is at least in and around her top 10, but I think this might be the breakout meta for her, and she can consolidate herself in the top 10. Next up is the 6th best brawler in the game right now. I went with the twins. So Larry is still a menace in the meta. Again, the casual player base are going to overlook Larry and Laurie because they're not going to just completely carry you in games. They're not going to do some crazy stat lines all of the time. They're just a really consistent thrower that the pros really find hard countering, because as a thrower, you know, normally you do have your counters against assassins like Kenji, Mortis, Miko, etc., but still the twins can fight off against those assassins because you can just switch over to the star power, which gives you the extra ammo when Laurie hits someone, and you can just defeat tanks like that. So super versatile brawlers. You can pretty much play them in every single game mode. There's always a good thrower map in the rank rotation. For example, you got like penalty kick, you've got open business on hot zone. There's just so much versatility to these brawlers, and I think they're easily a top 10 brawler, and they're probably going to get a nerf in the next set of balance changes. Now moving into the top 5 brawlers in the game right now. At number 5, I went with Byron. So again, a lot of the top brawlers in the meta did receive nerfs, so this is just indirectly going to make Byron better, but still he's such a sleeper sleeper pick. He's so good in the meta right now. There's a couple of reasons why. His main attack is so easy to hit, so not only can you easily, of course, heal your teammates, but you can deal a lot of damage and you can cycle through to supers pretty quickly. He's got a quick reload speed, and I just don't find there's too many counters really for him in the meta. He's got perfect versatility because you can just combine him with pretty much everybody. Like, of course, you're a sniper healer. There's so much value in that. And again, I think other brawlers around getting nerfed, assassins, etc., has just highlighted him being an even better brawler in the game right now. I think he's easily in and around the top 5. Next up is the 4th best brawler in the game right now. I went with Daryl. So he received a really small nerf in the last set of balance changes that made it so it's a little bit harder to cycle through to your super with your main attacks. But I don't think that really did anything to him. Still, the fact that he gets 2 supers straight away, both with some crazy damage reduction and a really good knockback. Sometimes you can even knock back twice with 1 super, so technically you get nearly like 4 knockback supers, which is insane. But Daryl's just so fun. I'm just playing him pretty much everywhere. The only weakness with him is that it takes a while to get your first super, 30 seconds, but then after that, as long as you know how to cycle successfully with Daryl and not waste a super, you're just good to go. You can pretty much win every single matchup. He's absolutely insane, and he's easily still S tier. Jumping into the 3rd best brawler in the game right now, I went with Serge. So surprisingly, he didn't receive any nerfs, even though he's just a menace in the meta right now. So now that all the brawlers around him receive nerfs, he's just obviously going to get better. His hypercharge can be really, really good, especially if you know how to use it correctly. You can easily get some good teamworks with it, and it matters whether you're a good Serge player or not. Of course, you can't play Serge on open maps, so that's a reason that's stopping him from being one of the best brawlers in the game. But on grassy maps, it's just so easy to feed your levels, cycle, and just destroy literally everything in your path. His gadget is still busted. Like, you just take a shot, you reload 2 ammo, you can tank some damage as well. It just makes it really impossible to beat Serge in a 1v1, added with the knockback super. It's just so many good things about Serge. He's easily one of the best brawlers in the game. Jumping into the 2nd best brawler in the game right now, I went with Kenji. So I think it's a very close between the top 2. You're probably going to guess the other one, but Kenji, he only received a small nerf. So his healing gadget went from 75% in the amount of damage taken to 50%. But that's pretty much going to do nothing because there's still so many broken things about him. His star power is so good. 5 seconds, you get 90% damage reduction. It's just absolutely crazy. You can easily just, you know, wait that 5 seconds, go in every single time, and it's just so hard to kill him. Of course, he's got healing with his base attack. He actually has a lot of HP. He's got a very fast reload speed, so as long as you learn his mechanics pretty well, you're going to just destroy everything. And of course, you still take a lot of damage within a brief amount of time, and then you pop your gadget, near full your HP is full, and then you just spam auto aim or whatever to get a bunch of more healing. You've got your super on top of that, which deals a lot of damage and actually is pretty deadly. And then on top of that, by the time, say, if you go in, use up all your ammo, throw your super out, by the time your super's done, you have full ammo again. So the cycling is just absolutely insane with Kenji. He's easily a top 2 brawler in the game. Okay, so now jumping into the best brawler in the game right now, we still have Mo. So he received 2 nerfs, but that definitely wasn't enough because he's just a menace right now, and I'm hoping in the future they just kill him. But for now, he is the best brawler in the game because his damage output is just crazy. They nerfed his damage and his supercharge rate, but I don't think that near enough did enough because the problem with Mo is that his knockback is so good, and even if you're about to kill him, he's just going to get his super eventually, and you can spam auto aim, and he deals 3.2k damage instantly, and then he knocks you back, and then he could just spam out more ammo. There's just a couple of things that need to be tweaked to make him a little bit more balanced, but for now he's just an absolute menace. And of course his main attack damage is still absolutely insane. It's so hard to counter Mo, it's ridiculous. Eventually he'll get a super, and his super allows him just to counter all of his counters. There's just nothing you can do against him, really. You just gotta pray that he doesn't get his super, try and keep your distance, but eventually he's gonna wiggle his way forward. He has quite a good amount of HP as well. Yeah, Mo, still insane. Definitely max him out if you haven't already. So that's going to be it for today's video. Again, this is just a prediction. I've had less than a day to really take a look at everything, but I'll be doing a tier list in a few days time to really consolidate everything. So that's going to be it. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.